So Jenny, as a marketing and messaging expert yourself, you work with a lot of businesses and organizations that need help with their marketing. And I would imagine step one is knowing what to say and the right way to say it. Why do you think that's such a struggle for folks?
I think they get too inside of their own world. You know, they're so in the method of just doing the business, doing the work. They're so in it that it's so hard for them to think outside and look at themselves from the outside in.
Sure. And that goes with video too, right? Like a lot of times people want this robust video package that we offer. And step one is planning that video. What do you want your common message to be in the video? And they're stuck on how to say that. And then add in the whole like element of anxiety with being on camera. I tell them all the time, we have to know exactly what your message is going to be before we hit record. So that's why you and I have teamed up, because you're a master at messaging. I love helping people share that message through video to create this helpful document. Talk a little bit about why you think this is going to change the game for people.
Well, you know, creating messages comes from understanding what you're trying to do, right? You can't just whip out marketing and hope that it'll do something. We have to make sure, I've been saying lately, that you have to make sure your house is in order, right? And if you're going to renovate your house, that's your business plan. Right, of how you're going to grow, how are you going to evolve this, what are the targets you're trying to hit as an operational business part, right, revenue goals, serving more consumers, you know, whatever the things are. I need to dig into what are you actually trying to do, because that'll help fuel what are we going to say, right? And then that goes into all parts of the marketing machine of what do you want them to do when they hear what you have to say. Right. And so it really starts from where are you trying to grow the business? What do you want to have happen? And from there, re-engineering back. And so part of that whole big marketing machine is video. Right. And I'll talk to people about this. And you're right. The fear of being on camera. Oh, yeah. Right. Of camera shy. Yep. The fear of what to say. In some industries, I've had people say, well, I'm not the expert. I don't want to be quoted on stats or facts or whatever the things are. And I'm like, but you are the expert. Yes. And you're wanting people to invest in you. So if you have a fear of owning what you do, you know, you might need a different consultant or coach at that point. Mm-hmm. But you have to break that humble barrier and be able to tell the story, because through any marketing tactic, people are going to invest in you when they know, like, and trust you. Yeah. And the only way they're going to know, like, and trust you is if they see your personality come through. Yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned story, because that's the other thing is sometimes people say, I'm not the expert. You know, I don't have a ton of experience, but I'm like, yeah, but your business, your product, your service, your customers have a story, and people do connect more with a story over a service, right?
Correct.
We're inundated with marketing messaging every single day, but the ones that as humans I think we're naturally drawn to are the ones that are like a story, a success story, an origin story, whatever it is. That's where I really see the power in video, is helping a business or an organization or a brand share their story.
Right. And I have the same challenges, right? Every company wants to market right to the service. And I back them up and I first ask them, what are your ideal consumers' main challenges? What problems are they having that they're looking for solutions for? So I divide it, right, of what's the problem and what are they trying to get to? Mm-hmm. The service is the juice in the middle. Right. So people, organizations, businesses should be focusing on challenges and solutions. Because if you come at them with the service, then that's the cold sale. And that's not what we're talking about in video or marketing messages anymore. Right. It used to be that a long time ago. If I have it, you need it. It's discounted, but wait, there's more, buy it now. That strategy doesn't work anymore with any generation that we're marketing to. It's, who are you? What do you have? Have you done it before? What kind of street cred do you have? What success stories? What metrics? What proven strategies do you have? Like, I want to know you're the right one for me to invest my time and money into. Mm-hmm. And that's pain to solutions. Yep. And then that's where your success stories come through. And then that's hard too for nonprofits and businesses to capture those success stories because they're so, again, in the business.
Yeah. That's why it's refreshing sometimes when, as a business owner, you film a customer testimonial or a nonprofit volunteer story, and you're like, it almost reinvigorates your why. You're like, that's right. That story is why I love what I sell, or I love what we do, or love the work that we stand for. After hearing your story, you're right. I get lost in the day-to-day and my marketing and my messaging and data and sales that I forget that at the end of the day, that person that I just heard their video, that's the reason I do what I do. So, and video is like the best way to do that. You're right. An email's nice, a Google review is great, but when you see a person, raw emotion on camera, like it gets you.
For sure. And sometimes that's a progress, right? I'm working with a nonprofit now where they are so interfacing. Everybody in this, I think they have 80 people that work in the nonprofit. Everybody knows what they do and the families they serve and what they offer, but nobody outside of that knows. Right. And instead of jumping right to video, in this particular case, we're building, it sounds simple, but we're building a newsletter program. And we've created content leaders. So we've assigned some of the top people of that 80 bank employees to be the ones who pull stories from their teams. Cool. And they'll submit that as newsletter content. Now, really what will happen is that'll fuel blogs, social media posts, and then down the road, as the budget allows, investing in video to help share that even more. But it's a crawl, walk, run process, right? They're nervous, number one, time, and they need like the proof in the pudding of why should we tell people? Like, I think they consciously know that, but subconsciously it's really hard to connect. Right? So this crawl, walk, run, tell me some stories. And in that, they're going to be like, oh, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to say it. And I'm coaching them on, don't worry about grammar. Like, just tell me. Just as if we're sitting here at the table, just tell me, how did that program help that family? Yep. And when that conversation starts, sure, that'd be a great time to call you in, but that's always like a reactionary experience that happens.
Sure. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a good point, because I have found too that when a client gets too hung up on saying everything perfectly, it comes across that way. I have a great anecdotal story of a client who wanted to make sure he told the story of his business, why they started, who they serve, and he had a script. And I said, okay, we'll try it with your script, but I would rather just have a conversation and almost forget the cameras even in the room, because you're passionate clearly about your business. And I feel like if you just tell me why, over a cup of, hypothetical coffee, it'll come through very authentic.
Oh, I agree with that.
We did it his way first. We did the teleprompter, and he nailed all his points, and he said everything he needed to say. And then I said, we can use that, but I would challenge you to put the teleprompter down and let me just step to the side of the camera and ask you about your business and why you love what you do. And he's like, all right, I guess. So we did it my way. And lo and behold, when I showed him both takes, he agreed with me that the second option just came across more conversational and authentic, whereas the first one felt, while he loved everything he said, it felt more rigid and robotic, as I like to say, whereas the conversation was just like, he forgot the camera was even there. Yep. And that's where I love what I get to do, because I actually sometimes forget the camera's there myself, because I'm like, wow, you're a very interesting person with an amazing story, or you're a very happy customer. The business must do amazing work. And I kind of extract those stories from people, and that's a favorite thing of my work. Well,
that's where I think we've tag teamed really well. We've done that together, right? Yes. Where we've kind of co-coached the client, and I love the Q&A style that we do. Yep. And even though we'll pre-script those questions, I love that you're hearing it from never heard it before side, and I'm coming at it as, oh, but remember we talked about, you said you wanted to do these, and these things, and you've had these XYZ impacts, and I'm asking, again, more depth questions. And then at the end of it, we have all this inventory of video, of conversations that really can be repurposed. And that's part that I think folks forget too, that it's not just a one and done marketing tool. Right. It's something that we can piecemeal depending on what campaign we're putting out.
Yeah, absolutely. Video's got great shelf life, and that's why I love that. I love the work you do and the resources you provide, because nothing makes me more sad than putting together a great video in seeing a business or organization post at like one time in one place. And I'm like, you paid for that. You put a lot of work into it. I know you stressed about it. Let's maximize its reach. And you're right. Like the more you film, the more content you have. This conversation we're having right now can be cut up into probably 5 different short videos. That's the beauty of video. It's repurposed, it's recyclable, and it can get you a lot of extra content. So let's talk briefly about the 4 key areas of every business should cover in their video. I'll read them off and you can tell me why you agree with these or don't agree with them. Number 1 would be what you do and who you help. So clarity on services and ideal customers. The second one would be impact and success stories, as you mentioned, why your work matters, real world transformations. The third, I love the third one, values and culture. It shows your personality and what sets you apart. Video is a great way to capture fun, behind the scenes, give people a glimpse in the day in the life of your business or organization, who you are as a person. So that's what I love about video, being able to capture the value and culture. And lastly, personal passion and growth, connecting on a human level, sharing challenges and wins. These are the 4 key areas we believe every business should cover in their video content. And I'm assuming you coach the same with your clients as well.
Oh, for sure. Because they get so into the daily grind, they forget why they do what they do.
Yep.
They're used to writing it for the grants. They're used to justifying it to board or stakeholders. But really what we want to do is share the empathetic side of what they do and why it matters. And that's for businesses too. Small businesses especially, they're wearing all the hats and they forget, why or where their passion was ignited to why they started the business. And I love to re-tap into that space, right? Because owning and operating a business is hard and time consuming and overwhelming and fearful. And to go back to where the heart started is always really great because I'll pull that through all of the different marketing tactics. So the what you do and who you help is critical on so many fronts.
Yep.
We've talked about the impact and success story, and that goes back to why you do what you do. And values and culture, I think, are really key, especially, nonprofits, but for small businesses too, especially if you're in a competitive landscape, right? If there are multiple of you, how do you pick you? How do you want the consumer to pick you, especially if there's many, whether it's real estate agents, where we have so many of those, or whatever service provision that is available, why pick you over the other ones? And maybe your vibe and your culture fit more your personality, or the consumer's personality.
Sure.
So, and then just having fun, right? Because video is fun and, make a mistake on camera.
Yeah. Everyone wants a good blooper reel.
Everybody wants a blooper reel. And that goes back to that robotic thing you talked about, right? Like it's one thing to hit the points. Well, tell us what points you want to make sure you make and we'll help you get there. But if you go from fun and smiley and this to the camera's on and stop and be rigid and do your political address or what, no, let's have fun.
Exactly. And it's hard to get loosened up on camera. I get it, but that's where we help. We make you feel confident and comfortable because of the prep work. I never show up to video shoot and say, okay, I'm rolling, just talk, and that's why I feel like the reason you and I have worked so well together is because we equip them with the confidence and the right messaging, and the stories to, once we do show up with all our fancy camera gear and hit record, they feel like, okay, Jenny has coached me on what to say. Chris will do his magic in post-production and all that. So I'm ready to do this thing. So that's kind of why you and I teamed up to create this document. I love it. I'm definitely going to recommend it to the folks that, I interface with that are like, we want to do a video, but we don't know where to start. Because one of my major questions I always ask is, where does this video fit into your marketing strategy? Well, we don't have one. I know someone who can help you with that. That's where you come in. Right. So talk to us briefly, help folks who watch this video who are ready to download this guide, what to say guide. How do we use it effectively, do you think?
I think if you're ready to invest in video, but if beyond that, are you ready to invest time or money into getting the video out there? Right? Whether that's with you, Revox, or on their own within their own team.
Absolutely.
Placing it social, YouTube, website, whatever, the TV, broadcast, streaming, all the things. Are you ready to invest in that? Then it's even more critical to use this worksheet. So if you're ready to invest, download this worksheet. We really strategically put a lot of thought into these, what we've called 16 prompts in 4 different categories, just to get you to break outside of the mundane operating headspace you're at and to think about it from the outside. And I think if people just use it as a bullet journal kind of style, or just to download thoughts, and then from that exercise, I mean, there is a psychological component to writing on paper and getting your ideas out. And when you get through the end of it, then capture the top, 4 or 5 or whatever package they've picked with you, 4 or 5 big juicy points that came through the prompts exercise. So that's one of the things I love as a consultant and marketing coach for folks, is tapping into that potential, right? I have so many resources in our marketing treasure chest of tools, worksheets, exercises, templates, all these things, just to try to pull out your creative genius and your expertise so that people can really see your value.
Yeah, there's 2 things I love about it too. Is number one, I always tell people all you need is a message and a mobile device. I'd love to work with you. I'd love to create video for you, but if it's on the budget, really all you need is a message and a mobile device. We all have one of those 2 things. We have a mobile device, but oftentimes we don't have the message. I'm not going to hit record on the selfie mode unless I know what I'm going to say, like we talked about earlier. So that's what I love about this, is now you can have a message. And speaking of message, in an ideal world, you have these 16 prompts. Can you imagine if all 16 of them, you wrote out some pretty good stuff and stuff that you felt good about, recorded 16 short videos? You'd have a lot of content. And I just wrapped up a call with somebody earlier that they said, but they're not all great videos. They're not. They might not be the best videos you've ever created, but with social media specifically, consistency and frequency is key. Not all your videos are going to be viral, but if you make 16 videos and you've got, call it, 4 weeks of content, the algorithms will reward you because you're uploading videos. No, they're not getting millions of views, but they're getting the views from the right people. And more than anything, you now have video content. That's the hardest hurdle for most people, is just getting that first video recorded. They spend all this time doing it. Well, now, if you use this guide effectively, you could potentially have 16 short videos where you talk about your business, your product, your service, your customers, all that stuff. That's what I love about it.
That's where I love one of the tactics I call 5 modes of transportation on 1 tank of gas. And I'll go into that in a second, but it's built from my other tool of a perfect people builder, which is a persona profile development. And in that, I strategically and intentionally have on there, this persona, this ideal buyer has 12 big challenges. What are the 12? And I've picked 12 because 1 challenge can equal 1 mini month campaign. And so essentially they could build a content strategy, an annual content strategy based off of 1 persona.
Wow.
Right? And so from that 1 challenge is now your tank of gas. And then that tank of gas, you have modes of transportation: blog, email, social post, video, and any print advertising you do. And so we could really create an annual content strategy based off of just who you're trying to get in front of.
Cool.
So this what to say worksheet is really like a supplement to that. If you're not ready to say who you're talking to, or maybe you just want a brand awareness message to come out, which is always hard for nonprofits and businesses to really, here's what we do. Right. And so there's just so many ways that we can capitalize on a message to fuel your marketing strategy, content strategy, social media strategy, ad budget, and ultimately your business goals.
Absolutely. And if you're fortunate enough to have an internal marketing team and somebody on site or on staff that can do video, download this for them and share it with them. It gives them some creative freedom. It gives them some direction. So by all means, if you have the means to do this internally, use this just as a resource. Like ultimately, we just want to help you create more content that aligns with your marketing strategy.
Oh gosh, Chris, and I'm just thinking about today's climate of work environments, right? Like to give your team the sense of pride and ownership of their role versus being taskmasters and just getting the work done. Like use this as a culture builder. It could be another incredible use for our tool.
Absolutely. And it's totally free. Like I said, it's going to be valuable for both of us, from step 1 to creating a marketing strategy to step 4 in creating the video that aligns with that marketing strategy. this resource is going to be super helpful. So, Jenny, where's the best place for them to find this resource?
Well, we both offer it,
Yep,
right?
we
So
do.
if you go to agencygen.com or
Revoxmedia.com. Yep.
it'll be right on our homepage and they can get the free download.
Perfect. Please check it out. Jenny, thanks for your work on this. I'm so excited to continue working with you, and I hope it helps a lot of people.
My pleasure, Chris.